Thank you to each of you. I'll begin with questions. Mr. Cisneros, last night, OSD replied to a February 12th letter from me and Chairman Rogers regarding DOD's COVID policies. I'm going to quote a few lines from the response. Military services officials are determining, quote, appropriate action for service members who did not submit an exemption or accommodation request, remained unvaccinated, and refused a lawful order to take the vaccine, end quote. My first question is, why are officials in the services still reviewing these cases if the COVID-19 vaccine mandate was rescinded?
Well, thank you for the question there, Mr. Chairman. This is a situation we've never really been in before, where we've actually had to go through a process of repealing a vaccine that we've mandated, and Congress initiating a statute to make us take it back. This is a new process for us. It's something that we're trying to figure out, and we've been working on it. The situation that you just described was members who refused the vaccine, who disobeyed a lawful order. The services are going through a process to look at that and evaluate what needs to be done in those situations. And for more information, I can turn it over to the services to kind of have them reflect individually.
So your answer is that the reason that we're still reviewing cases after the vaccine mandate was rescinded is because they disobeyed a lawful order. Is that what I heard you say?
Those who refused the vaccine and did not put in a request for accommodation refused a lawful order. That is correct.
But expand for a minute. Just what's the point? If we rescinded the mandate, what's the point of continuing to review the cases?
Well, they're reviewing the cases because, as I said, they obeyed a lawful order, and in order to maintain good order and discipline, it's very important that our service members go and follow orders when they are lawful. And there were several or thousands that did not, and so their services are going through a process to review those cases to make a determination what needs to be done.
All right, then there was this statement, quote, no service members currently serving will be separated based solely on their refusal to receive the COVID-19 vaccination if they sought an accommodation based on religious, administrative, or medical grounds, end quote. So if service members did not receive or seek an accommodation for the COVID-19 vaccination, are you still planning to separate those service members?
That is up to the services, but no, as the statement said, no individual is being separated for refusing the COVID-19 vaccine. If individuals have been separated, were separated because they disobeyed a lawful order.
Any of you able to respond to that? Mr. Camarillo.
Mr. Chairman, there are a number of cases that we still have yet to review for individual soldiers that, as Secretary Cisneros said, chose to not comply with a lawful order. I would just add that each of these cases has to be evaluated on its own individual merits because they're highly fact-specific. There may be, in any instance, numerous violations of the UCMJ or other areas in which there might be circumstances in which to look at disciplinary procedures. So we'd have to look at them all individually on a case-by-case basis.
Mr. Raven.
That's exactly right. We are determined to look at each of these cases on the merits of the facts of each case, and we will conduct an individualized review of each one of these cases.
Ms. Jones.
Yeah, let me just say, we have implemented guidance to rescind the mandate. We're not reviewing any further exemptions. Those have been returned to the service members without action. As captured by my colleagues, we're doing this expeditiously and look forward to working toward the 17 March deadline that PNR has put in place to make sure all these things are fully rescinded.
Yeah, I know you're going to hear from a lot of my colleagues today who are infuriated about the double standard and message that you're sending to our troops, rescinding a policy and then still punishing them for not taking the vaccine. But I'm going to move on and leave that up to some of my colleagues. In his opening statement, Undersecretary Cisneros said that many vaccines are, quote, required for all military personnel who do not already have immunity, end quote. Last week, the Lancet medical journal published a study showing that natural immunity is as effective as 2 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine at preventing severe illness and death. Thousands of service members were discharged, and tens of thousands of potential recruits were barred from enlisting because they had not been vaccinated against COVID-19. However, a significant portion of them did have immunity due to a prior COVID infection. Secretary Cisneros, does the DoD acknowledge the Lancet's conclusion that natural immunity is as effective as a vaccination?
Mr. Chairman, I believe we're still kind of evaluating the results of the COVID and the research that's going through. It's not like chicken pox where if you get it once and you're good. There have been people who have gotten COVID numerous times. And so we don't know about natural immunity there as far as, how it works and how effective it is. And so we are going based on the research that we have, and we've continued to update and change our policies as the research has progressed and we've gone through this process. But right now, there is no more COVID-19 vaccine, although we do still encourage our members to get the vaccination as well as the boosters when they come out.
So recruits can be exempt from chickenpox and measles vaccines if they have natural immunity. Is the DoD considering natural immunity while reviewing cases of service members who refuse the COVID-19 vaccine, or is that off the table?
Again, Mr. Chairman, as the research gets better and we learn more about this disease, it's still relatively young. It's only been since 2020 that this has been around. There's no good evidence, and the research is still going on as to how we need to progress with this. But as of right now, natural immunity is not something that we believe in for this, and so we are still moving forward. But again, right now there is no COVID-19 mandate. There is no COVID-19 requirement for service members to enter the military or to be in the military.
All right, I'll yield to the ranking member.